But one of my favorite monks on Mount Athos is a Georgian monk. His name is Father Antimos. Met him in 2011. And really cool story. Met him in 2011, had seen him multiple times, went back to Mount Athos. He was, when I went back there, I think like 2012 or 2013, he was gone. He had some health issues. He went back to Georgia and was serving under the patriarch there.
Mm-hmm.
Then I hadn't seen him for like 4 or 5 years. Went back to one monastery. I was at the monastery for a little bit, and I heard there was this Georgian bishop coming. Georgian bishop came up. I came out.
Nicholas, I think, is who came.
I don't remember his name.
So.
But as I walk out, I haven't seen him now in like 4 or 5 years. As I walk out, I see him. He sees me. It's like we haven't, it's like
Serious?
This beautiful experience. I was not expecting him to see me, or he was not expecting to see me. I was not expecting to see him, and it was like, it's a beautiful thing. I think this like this relationship that you can have, which I think is so much taboo. It's much more taboo in America.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was beautiful. And I saw him this time again. I just went back in May.
What's his spirit? What is he? He's open, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh my
these
gosh.
guys are open.
Yeah. I was this time around again. I had not seen him for like 3 years. I was in the kitchen helping out with a couple of things. He walks in. I recognize him right away. He's older, like his beard's much more gray hair and everything. He sees me, I see him, and he's like, takes him a second. He's like, I knew it was you. How did you know it was me? Because of your eyes, he said.
Yeah, I was gonna say something about you. Yeah, that he's gonna like. So remember. The culture's this way.
Mm-hmm.
It's not. There's nothing salvific about Georgian culture. However, something got into the water where this kind of congeniality and where you're just like, the whole point is to just be with people. That's real.
Mm.
It's real, and I'm sure that he's done. I mean, I could tell you stories about that where you're at a monastery, you think everything's going to be like super tight, not tight in a bad way, but people are praying. It's serious, but somehow it's not always a holy fool, but it's a foolishness that pops up. And I know all monasteries have this, but for me, Georgia like taught me that was a good norm. And like I've had abbots like invite us in when we come and visit, and then they'll throw a Supra. You see it comes out of the blue, and then you try to leave, and they're like, "Why would you leave?" And you're
the abbots are the abbots are throwing this?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
So it's embedded in the entire culture?
Oh yeah.
Okay. Could you maybe talk a little bit about that? Because I'm actually really curious.
Sure. Well, a certain priest friend of mine was preparing to go to Georgia. And let's say that they were, this person is, let's say, strict. And they kept telling me when I get there, like, what's it going to be like? I said, well, when you get there, there's going to be a Supra. He's like, that's that dinner you do, but there's not, I'm with a bunch of monks and we don't drink. And I was like, yeah, that's not going to matter at all. Like, you're going to sit for one of these. He's like, no, you don't understand. Like, I'm going with a delegation of serious monks. We're talking about something serious. So, like, but what's the culture like? I was like, you're just going to sit for one of these. And he's like, no. And we had an argument. And he got there and called me. And he was like, he called me from the table and said, they're drinking wine to the bottom of the glass. My friends and me. I was like, I know it's Georgia.
Yeah.
He's like, I know it's something. So the Supra, for folks who don't know, I'll pour you a glass. How about that?
Yeah, go for it.
So at our restaurant, we serve Georgian wine. This is an amber. We've got 2 ambers, actually. This is a probably nicer amber.
This one?
Yeah. So I'm gonna pour this for you. So the amber wine is made in a qvevri.
What's that? And
a qvevri is, we have a little mini version of it right behind us, right here. And I'm gonna.
Oh, this.
Yeah, pull that out. That's the. So that thing would be the size of 2 people. Well, the big ones are 2 people.
Oh, this is huge.
It's a huge thing. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
And what happens is with that is it's made, it's clay, it's set, and then it's buried in the ground. And it's buried in the ground and stays in the ground for hundreds of years. And so the wineries, when they make this style of wine, this is called amber Georgian. It's made in those qvevris, and the amber is from the fact that they put the Saperavi red grapes in, and they let it stay for about 2 months in there, and then they fish out the red grapes and peel them.
Oh, okay.
And then put them back in, and they finish then this way. But they're all interacting with the clay. And so it produces this color and this taste. And so in the Supra, you don't have to drink amber wine, but you have to drink wine in a Supra.
Okay.
You want to hear something funny?
Yeah, please.
This is funny to me.
Okay.
About 7 years ago, I wasn't in Georgia at this time. The patriarch apparently declared that you can have Supra with beer.
Oh.
So you and I did a Supra.
Yeah.
We did it at this restaurant. And thank God, it was great.
Right over there, that table.
It was super great. So traditionally, when I was there in the 90s during the Civil War, I was doing relief work with essentially widows, and I was working with the church. But basically, you couldn't do a Supra with beer. If you did it with beer, then what would happen is it would be a symbol that you were toasting like in a business deal.
Okay.
Or maybe you're toasting to enemies or people you aren't sure of yet. Yeah. The wine is a symbol of a unity, of blood. And so the blood is what brings us together. And what brings us together is the toast. And so I say the toast in the Supra as the Tamada, and then you would hear that as an invitation to toast back on the same theme. So
it's not necessarily a toast to the person, it's a toast to a theme. Okay.
So in the West, like all things, we've atomized the toast. So usually, and it happens at the restaurant because we throw these dinners and we teach it as we go. Usually the idea would be, I have a toast, and then I'd say what I want.
Okay.
About whatever I want. You can do that in Georgia. It's not like a big problem.
Sure.
Right? It's not like something's wrong.
Yeah.
But the Tamada has set the table or set the toast with a theme. So for instance, in a minute, I'm going to do one.
Okay.
But we can just do it as we go. So we'll do it right now.
All right.
So I want to do a toast to the moments in life when you're trying something new, maybe even like this podcast in our place, right? We got sounds that we might not want. And you do it anyway. And you do it because risking what you have is less important than what might come new. So I want to make a toast in that sense to courage.
Oh.
And the ability to be courageous and be courageous together. So to courage. And then we'd say, Gagi Marjos.
Gagi Marjos.
Gagi Marjos. Gagi Marjos. And then in the tradition, you ready? You want to do it traditionally? Okay, Father, we'll do it. We would finish our glass.
From the first toast?
Right now.
Wow.
Traditionally.
Okay. Traditionally.
And so let's do it.
Okay.
Gagi Marjos.
Gagi Marjos.
That's called balumde.
That's tasty.
Isn't that nice?
That is very nice.
Yeah.
What is that called? You said
that's called a amber wine or that particular one. Which one did I just?
I think that one right there.
Oh, this is Baya's wine. So this is what we call amber, and it's probably my favorite. This is what I drink when I'm the Tamada.
Okay.
And so
there's the
Qvevri, right?
Yeah. Oh, I see it now. Okay.
So the Qvevri is how they make the wine.
Okay. Very cool.
And they make the moonshine. So at the bottom, I don't know if you guys can see this, but at the bottom, all the grapes, the dregs of the grapes get trapped down there. And at the very end of the process, they scoop all that out and then they make it into this clear liquid called chacha, which is moonshine, basically. And that stuff, powerful, but it's good. So certain toasts at the table include that.
Okay.
But so basically what we did is...
And what was the Gagi
Marjos.
Gagi Marjos. And what would that mean?
Gagi is to you,
okay.
And Marjos is victory. So to your victory.
Okay.
Gao Marjos is to our victory. So we really probably should say Gao Marjos at the table when we say it together. Gao Marjos. But it's a reference to the resurrection. So it's like to your resurrection. But not always. So communists make the same toast, Gagi Marjos, but they may not believe in such a thing. Because it means to your victory. That's what it really actually means. But in the context of ancient Georgia, from which the Supra comes, it's trying to say something like, we find each other again after our resurrection, to your victory. It's a resurrectional, it's associated with Pascha.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So is this it's Christian in its inception, or like traditionally speaking?
So the Supra, which we do at the restaurant, is one way to dine in Georgia.
Okay.
So anytime people start to gather in 4s and 5s and 6s, usually, not always now with the younger generation, but when I was there in the 90s, then someone would say, no, please, no, maybe you be Tamada.
Mm.
Perhaps we have election. And then the men, usually it's men, not always now. I've seen women Tamadas. The men will say, who will do this? There's a little election. And then, oh, Father, you tonight. Thank you. And now you're the Tamada who's offering the themes. The first theme, I didn't do it tonight because we're not really at a Supra.
Sure.
The first theme is always to God. It's gratitude to God. And or the Theotokos. I've seen Tamadas wind in the Theotokos. Sometimes she's the second toast. Sometimes it's saints.
Okay.
But if you're doing a real traditional one, it always starts with gratitude and thankfulness for creation to God. Then saints usually, but it changes. Each region does it differently, and each Tamada does it differently. So when you have a Tamada, you have the potential for a Supra. If you and I just sat together with our friends, Michael over here sat down with us, we could still do it at a table like this, but it doesn't have the same form. Maybe we change it up a little bit, but that's called a Keipi. You're just sitting at a table and having a party.
Okay.
But once the Tamada is appointed, now you have Supra. And you have Supras for weddings. You have Supra for funerals. They're different though. And then anytime you start to see a gathering, you usually will have a Supra. And so it's joyful because what happens is the way I explain it is it's attentiveness. So for instance, now we're talking about something else. By the way, after that, so I should fill up your glass. So we did our first toast. We'll try this Dilao. This is it's a little colder too. So it'll be a little tastier, I think. So this is also an amber. I won't fill too much because we really shouldn't be drinking too much right now. Well, we can drink much. I don't know. You tell me, Father. I don't want to cause any problems.
We have a long way to go. So.
Yes, we do. But I'll get through this and then we can talk about other stuff. But so right now, if this was a big table and I was the Tamada, then what would be happening right now is everybody would have got filled up.
Okay. Because essentially you've done the toast. Everybody just drank.
Everybody drank.
The bottles, I mean, the glass is empty.
Now, this is traditional.
Okay.
In many Georgian tables now, you would just sip the wine.
Okay.
You wouldn't balumde finish. But if you go up to the mountains, they still do it this way. And the reason is because when I toast, so you would hold your glass.
Okay.
And so I'm making a toast. Yada, 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 yada.
Like the one you just made for courage.
Like the one for courage.
Okay.
And everyone's listening. And then if there's 15 of us here, and I just said to courage, Gagimarjos, then you would hold your glass and or you would drink it.
Okay.
And if you drank it with me after my toast, you're telling everyone, I'm not going to take that toast. I'm not going to respond to the Tamada's invitation. I'm just going to drink.
So the toast itself is an invitation to anybody who else would like to, if they don't drink.
So what would happen was, see how you're holding your glass? See him holding his glass? As I'm drinking as a Tamada, I would see you holding your glass, and then I would say, please, or Sagradzello, which means take my theme and add.
Okay. Because
you held it, and you're telling me I want to keep going on that. So maybe 4 men are all holding their glass, or 4 women. So that means that they want my toast. So maybe I do a toast to children. And like there's a family that just had newborn children. Then the father or the mother or maybe the sister would all, I want it. So they take my idea of children, the big idea, and then they add the particular, the earth. So in the tradition, I'm offering heaven because I'm the Tamada, and the table offers earth. And we unite the table. If you were to do another, so I toast the children, and let's say you go, and also to the spirit of youth, and you try to add more to the big theme, you can do that. But then it's like a challenge to the Tamada. Because what's happening then is you're adding poetically to my big idea.
There's a hierarchy.
Yes, there's a hierarchy. The Tamada gave you, and so you want to add particular. So you might say to my child, like, Do you have children, Father?
I do, too.
Two.
Yeah.
So what's one of them? Or maybe
Sebastian and Emiliani.
So maybe you say to Sebastian, I want to say, and then you give a particular. You know, this morning he slept late. I never seen him sleep late. And I realized he's got my character. So Sebastian and what he's inherited. And then that's the particular about my. So what I wouldn't do so much as Tamada is say, everybody, I want to make a toast to Sebastian. Because people might not know Sebastian at the table. I sort of cut it off.
Yeah.
But how about to the spirit of children? Now, even if you don't have children, the spirit of children is innocence. So I invited everybody at the table.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Because
so you can now touch on innocence.
You could touch on innocence. You could touch on spring.
Okay.
If you're really smart.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You can do poetry, and you can touch on, you know, when I learned this thing, I was like a child. And then you could talk all about how I fixed cars. And you're like, is he talking about cars? But no, he's talking about when he was like a child, he learned how to fix cars.
Yeah.
And then that's really cool because now you're learning about people. But if you all try to do a big philosophical treatise on children and you don't give the particular, it gets boring.
Okay.
Because think about it. Now he's doing a long talk about children. They're all trying to be Tamadas. This isn't a natural thing at the table. The Georgians know how to do this.
Yeah.
When we do it with Americans, because we're individualistic, everybody sees themselves as the Tamada. Does this make sense?
Yeah.
And so they're like, you said that about children. I'd like to add. But they never get to their own child. Or they never get to the moment when they were like a child. They add the philosophical.
Sure.
And then another philosophical. And what happens eventually is it becomes unbearable because it's all heaven. It's all abstract. So when they add the particular, it's cool.
Yeah.
So this is the DNA of how it works. And so, but most people at our restaurant don't drink the whole thing because they get drunk. And we had guys do that and they vomited at the table. 2 brothers vomited at our table in our restaurant. Don't put that on. Well, you can put that on, but don't tell the authorities. We had to remove them, as you might imagine.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So you've offered the toast. Do I then toast as well?
So let's do another one. Let's do another one. I'll offer a toast.
Okay.
And then you can say to me, don't drink. And then it'll tell me you want to drink. Okay. And then
it means I want to offer a toast.
Right.
Okay.
And then the key is, as they say in Georgia, don't let the toast go from your heart to your head.
Meaning?
Let it go right into your mouth.
Okay.
In other words, speak from your heart. Because if it gets into your head, what'll happen? I'll give you an example, then I'll do the toast.
Sure.
What I do, what you do, what everybody does is we're trained to imagine a toast as public speaking. But it's not public speaking, not in Georgia. What it is, it's an honoring of the toast from the Tamada. So when you toast, you honor the Tamada. So you could literally go like this. I do a toast to kids. You could just literally go, dab, 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 children. And everyone will go to children. You said words. And when you said words, you honored me who offered you the toast. Everything in Georgia is about honor and loyalty at the Supra. And so no one's going to do gabba gabba. But the point is, it's not about how well you speak. It's the fact that you took my toast. I always tell people when we do this, it's like a DJ. They play music, no one dances. They play music, no one dances. And then eventually they play a song and 2 people go, oh, I love that song. They come out every time. I was a DJ. The people come out, start dancing, and then they look over at the DJ and they go. And the DJ goes. Because they honored each other. It's not about if they're dancing well. They dance to his song, which is a
it's
respect.
Almost like seeing the other person.
Yes.
Right? Like
yes.
You're like the Tamada is the one that's visible.
That's right.
But sometimes in being the one that's visible, you become invisible. Just like a leader, right? So a leader is like somebody who's like visible, but we don't know much about our leaders.
That's right.
So by virtue of them being invisible, when a subordinate or somebody lesser on, let's say on the hierarchy, acknowledges what the leader has said, they become visible to them. Right?
That's beautiful. Right? I want to use that.
Okay.
Well, the leader, the way it would be said in Georgia, although you're saying it beautifully, is I honor you. So it's all about honor. So you made me visible through your honor.
Yeah.
And the idea though the presupposition is that I have something you don't have as Tamada. See, you wouldn't do this table at a round table. You can in Georgia,
Okay.
but the round table implies equality, right? There's no head.
Sure.
One of the hardest things when I do this with Americans all over the country is the implication is they can say whatever they want to say because they're equal. It's not like people are obnoxious. It's just, it's in the water, right? It's like, he's not really in charge of me. But the Tamara is in charge in the Georgian table. But not because they want to control you. It's because if you don't have the moment of attentiveness, this is what I wanted to say, is the table is beautiful because the toast, your toast, then the conversation turns into whatever you want. People are joking, maybe they're saying, and then 5 minutes, 6 minutes, 10 minutes, it depends on the Tamara. He's looking at the table. He says, I have another toast. And then everyone attends. It's like, let us attend, right?
Yeah, let us be attentive. Yeah,
let
absolutely.
us be attentive.
Yeah.
And so the whole church is supposed to go like, the priest is the Tamara. And then if you don't attend, you're like, what's wrong with that person? Then for one moment, he holds the table together and then he gives it back. And then he brings it back and gives it back. And what happens is when you have dinner like this, it creates a proper relationship between the food, the wine, the people. It gets telos, it gets purpose. But the problem is a lot of people don't want that Tamara, especially if he's not good, to go, oh, not this guy again. Because you can imagine, what if my toasts were really long? They're like about some historical event that no one knows anything about. I give no context. I'm like, and that's similar to Gallipoli. And then I'm going on and on. I'm ruining the table by being a bad Tamara. So the best Tamaras are not giving a toast because they have something to say. They're giving a toast because they see you have something to say. That's not the same thing.
So it's almost like the visibility goes twofold.
That's right.
So the Tamara is the first maybe to see and therefore calls it out into the open.
Oh, that's nice.
And then the other people are the ones that then acknowledge what has been seen by honoring the Tamara in their toast.
That's right.
Okay.
And if you do it right, our pal Jonathan Pageau would say, if you realize the hierarchy is not restrictive, it's actually freedom. But you have to allow it to happen.
Yeah.
And so many people fight the hierarchy. For instance, I'll give you an example. At our tables, we do here all the time. When I toast to women or to men, so that's a natural toast in Georgia. I want to make a toast to men. It's brutal. You can see the confusion in the culture because inevitably when I toast to women toast, men toast, everybody toasts. It's all rocking. And I toast to men, it's super quiet. Like this happens every time. And inevitably, not always, but most often, a woman will toast to women on the toast to men. It's nuts.
A woman will turn the toast that's meant for men and will include women in that.
Yep.
Why do you think that is?
I know. So just so people who are watching this, I want you to know this. I haven't done one table or 10 or 20. I've done 100 tables with the community here. Like people come on Fridays and sit together. They don't know each other.
Yeah.
So 25 people will come and sit together. Whenever I do the toast to men and women, there's always that pattern. And the reason is because somewhere, and now again, I want to say something. The people who come, it's not a cheap thing to come. You got to pay some dough, right? So we tend to filter out folks with less money. In South Carolina, where we are, folks with less money will do a toast to men. But the elite, let's just call it maybe the more educated, have learned that to toast to men has something to do with misogyny. It's connected. It's not. I'm not saying it is at all. What I'm saying is there's a code in the community, in our culture, that says toasting the men without toasting the women, something's wrong. But toasting the women without toasting the men is fine. And I don't know why that is. Why do you think that is?
I was actually just going to tell you. I have my own thoughts. I believe that we are in a fight against the Father. And so because he's the Father, it's a representation of a man. Even though God, the Son, is a man. But God the Father reveals himself as a father. And even that has a masculine, let's say, trait to it.
Yeah.
So it's hopefully this makes sense. But by virtue of that, if you extend the timeline of salvation, the history of salvation long enough, you will inevitably come to a point of rebellion, which is what we see in the Jews. We see that with Israel, like the disciples, like, keep going, extending that further and further. We're now in another form of rebellion where we're outwardly rebelling against the Father. And because the Father is an example, let's say, of masculinity, this is my thought. Therefore, anything that's masculine must be rebelled against by virtue of rebelling against the Father. And I think it's a spiritual reality. While if we can conquer the Father, then we've won, in a sense. And I believe it's the fight against the Father. That's the undercurrent of everything about that.
Can I ask you a question about this? Because
Okay.
I got 4 daughters and my lovely wife, who I love. Their theme is that it's a reaction against really bad men, a consistently bad version of men over the last, let's say, 100 years. Now, that's a practical take. I think theologically, I would agree. I love what you're saying. It's very helpful.
Okay, I'm going to say some things that I've been having some thoughts about this recently. It might be a little bit controversial, but I'm not the end all be all, and this is not the take on the church. This is just Father Christian, who's very flawed. When Adam and Eve were in the garden, Eve was the one who presented the fruit after her deception from the serpent to Adam. It was Adam's failure that Eve fell. Okay, because Adam, he was the one that received the law from God: do not eat of this tree. It wasn't Eve; it was Adam. Adam receives that. Then he communicates that to Eve, and that's one of the interpretations. That's why the serpent goes to Eve and not to Adam, because Eve heard it secondhand, and therefore she's more likely to be deceived because she didn't hear it directly from the source. Okay. Eve then presents this to Adam. Had Adam said, "This was my fault," to God, this was my fault, it's not hers, it's my fault, I think everything would have been.
You think it gets righted?
Yeah, it was like, it would have been good. Like, we're golden. But because he blames not only Eve but also God, then it's not good. Okay,
It's death.
Yeah. So you're with me so far,
I
right?
am,
Okay.
yeah.
What I feel like I see after the fall is this combating between the two. Before the fall, you have proper hierarchy. Adam is the firstborn, or the first made, born, however you want to call it. By virtue of the time and place in which he's born, he is the first. Therefore, he is on the hierarchy. He's higher. But higher doesn't mean better, doesn't mean less equal to or more equal to. It's just higher, like the tamada, like you're saying, right? Okay. Now, Eve is taken out of the side of Adam, not from the foot so that the woman can think that the man is above her, and not from the head so that the man thinks he's above her, but from the side, so to understand that there's equality. But even in the equality, there's a hierarchy. Okay, so one can be the same, you and I can be the same, and then still completely different. Like our president, Trump, he's a man, I'm a man, but yet he's the president. There's a form of hierarchy. That doesn't mean we don't have equality in many other respects.
That might be the hard part.
What might be?
Is for us practical, let's call them atomized Western thinkers, to hold those two together. He's above me, but he's equal. Now, I'm not saying, I understand what you're saying as a proposition.
Okay.
But for the women I know in my life, I won't throw them all my daughters under the bus. They struggle with the idea, so my husband's going to be above me? He's going to rule me on some level. And I'm equal? How? It's hard for them.
It's very difficult because on one end, I do agree with what was it your daughter or your wife that said that about,
That it's 100 years of, or thousands of years of bad men.
yes, yeah. I also disagree, but to an extent.
And by the way, just to clear it up,
Sure.
they're not like rabid about this point, but
No.
they say to me all the time, because I give your explanation, the beautiful explanation you gave about a rebellion against God, but they're not rabid, but they're like, you're kind of overlooking some other stuff. Like, guys haven't been good. You know what I mean? So I'm sorry, I interrupted you.
No, so this happens. And so the proper hierarchy was Adam, Eve, there's equality there, right? And then after the fall, so the proper order, I think, of the hierarchy is the person at the top is the one that becomes the sacrificial offering for everyone else at the bottom. Okay, so that's like a proper sense. I think after the fall, what you actually have is the person at the top becomes the tyrannical version of a leader, so that everybody at the bottom serves the person at the top.
It's their sacrifice that
they sacrifice everything else.
Right, they sacrifice up rather than sacrifice down. Right,
exactly, rather than sacrificing
down.
All
my Protestant friends call this servant leadership. This is like, this is a term that's got into the culture.
I don't like that term.
Why not though? It didn't sit quite right with me either. What is that?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I would have to give that some thought.
Yeah, no, that's fair.
The immediate thought that comes to my mind is from Saint Sophrony. Was it Saint Sophrony? It might have been Saint Silouan, but Saint Sophrony, he says that Christ he comes as the inverted pyramid, where like before or in the world, you have the pyramid and then the person at the top is the one that everything feeds towards the top. While Christ comes as this inverted pyramid, and he stands as the one who shoulders everything. And he's the one that now everything comes from the bottom down, or rather from the top down to him, because he's at the top. By virtue of him being the servant, that's how he's able. Hold on, maybe that didn't make sense.
No, I get it.
But those at the bottom, those at the top. So if you're looking at the inverted pyramid, so
it's got to be the inverted pyramid.
Yeah, inverted pyramid. Those at the bottom, which are the top now, can only get to the bottom by serving by serving everyone else.
That's right.
Which is why, like, if you want to be first, you shall be last, and all these things. Christ stands at the pinnacle of service by virtue of him holding up everyone else. And he shares that service with his disciples, right? Right below him are the 12 disciples, the apostles, Paul, Peter, and all of them.
Right.
And it goes the martyrs, confessors, and all these things.
It weirdly flows up.
Yes. No, exactly. Exactly. That's what I mean. And so it's an inverted, it's a beautiful inverted pyramid. So what I'm saying is that after the fall, you kind of have, and these are my thoughts again, not theology. These are just Father Christian thoughts. After the fall, you have this inversion of what it means to be a leader, where the negative masculine trait comes out, and it's like about tyranny rather than sacrifice. And Christ comes and shows us what a true man is, which I think is the one that sacrifices himself for his bride.
So in that sense, women who argue that there's been a lot of bad men are right.
Are right. And that's why I would agree in that respect. But I would also say they're wrong. I would also say I would offer a different perspective, because for all of history, we've had primarily men leading.
That's right.
Okay. Now we've gotten to a point in history where we've had like women leading. And at least from the time that I've, since I was young, it was always about women being in leadership positions. And I don't know the statistics about this, but I've heard like more women are graduating from college now. They're getting all these jobs and like all these things.
Super evident in culture, yeah.
We're in a time and space where women have had more of a voice than other times. I'm not saying that's bad. I'm not saying that's good. I don't know yet. The way it's playing out seems very interesting, because it seems like everything else that happened in the past was very bad, which I don't know if it was, because even if it was a form of tyranny, which is very bad, it still retained somewhat the proper hierarchy, which allowed for things to maintain in a proper order.
Yeah.
Now that we've entered this space, you've seen a lot of things flip upside down in a very bad way. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. You made me think of something. I'm going to try it out too.
Okay. Yeah.
And then we can talk about Supra if you want. But there's a misunderstanding that leadership is about strength, and strength is about materiality or the strength of the material. So you said voice. Voice is a type of material reality, right? Its sound comes from stuff.
Sure.
You make sound from stuff. You make, you can pound out a hammer and build something because you're strong. And so the materialism of the last 300 years has gotten everybody, men and women, to believe that strength is something like the point and purpose, and it's the sinews of leadership. It's how leadership is done. But in reality, we know, now we don't always remember, but we know that leadership is first spiritual, and it's found in the unseen things like patience. You can't really see, patience doesn't have
tangible,
materiality, right? And that's how it's truly measured. And so for me, so many times, women have that in spades over men.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I'm not saying always. Men work hard at it. We have to become like crazy athletes at the spiritual world. But women sometimes sit in that space. Sometimes. I'm not saying they're like superheroes of spirituality. So for me, this is my theory, is women took the bait that men have always been taking, which is the stronger you are, the louder you are, the more materially powerful, the bigger bank account you have, you become a better leader.
Yeah.
That's what bad leadership was 1,000 years ago.
From the get-go. Yeah.
Like, right? You wouldn't say like Mongol leadership was great. They were like good at destroying stuff, but they were good at being strong. You know what I mean? And I think we all took the bait because there was no spiritual conversation to be had in a lot of ways in a materialistic world, So I don't really know. I know one thing. I've stopped arguing. I let the women in my life that I really love, I think they're right. I just let it be.
Yeah.
Like, I think you're probably right. It got passed down. There's a lot of bad men have done it. Well, they'll start listing the things. And I'm like, that's bad. Especially, we just went down to Colombia for our work. And we're going to work in this community. I don't want to go off on a tangent, except for it's a good tangent. And we went to this place. I won't name all these places, but it's in Colombia. It's in northern Colombia, near Cartagena. And it's upside down. There's a lot of...
Did you say Colombia is in the country?
The country, yeah.
That's where I'm from.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah. I was born in Barranquilla.
Barranquilla?
Yeah.
We went to Cartagena.
Oh, nice. My mother's from Cartagena. Cartagena?
Yeah.
No. Or she might have been... Is that the one by the waters?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's really pretty.
Yeah.
So we got invited by some really classy, beautiful people to start a site there for First Things, our work.
Okay.
Basically what we do, I can tell you for 2 seconds, but we send people, men and women, to live for 2 years in, let's call it, disadvantaged places. These are like really, we're in Mozambique and Sierra Leone, the Georgian Republic in the mountains, and Guatemala. We're in places where you would go, oh, that's poor. And our job when we get there is to learn the local language, like really learn the local culture, take local transport, live hard.
Yeah.
So when you're in Guatemala, if you learn Quiche, you speak local language. Spanish is not the local language. Spanish is the colonial language. In Guatemala.
Oh, in Guatemala.
Yeah. And then, so in Colombia, there's not enough indigenas, there's not enough indigenous people around. So there really aren't many alternative languages in Colombia. It's Spanish. But in Guatemala, the Mayaners, they're present in such a way where they still speak Quiche. So our guys will try to learn Quiche.
Wow.
And when you learn Quiche, you speak to people differently.
Yeah.
And they see you really differently. They're like, how do you do that? Because we've been there long enough. And so our goal is to stay. We stay for 2 years. We've got an option for 3. And the whole goal of our work is to say, okay, I see you. We don't do it right away. So in the first 6 months, none of our guys do projects. All they do is acculturation. They immerse. But in the last 18 months, I see you. And it could be an old woman who has a great idea. It could be a young set of guys, they want to start a little business. It's people that aren't seen. But because we stayed in the mud hut, we stayed close to the people, we can see. And then our job is to connect those people and their projects, write up their projects, create marketing devices for their project, and connect them to resources. That's all we do.
That's amazing.
It's cool.
Yeah, that's really cool.
So we got invited.
What is that called?
That's called First Things Foundation.
First Things Foundation.
That's the restaurant we're in right now. Is the spot? This is First Things. This is the restaurant is part of our nonprofit endeavor.
Got it. Okay.
And it's doing, so far so good. People love it.
Yeah.
Long story short, that activity comes out of the Supra, which is what we talked about. The Tambara is meant to make people seen at the table, and they're meant to see. In other words, we're meant to be in relationship first, project second. Everybody's always, let's do a project. And I'm like, hold on. And if you watch, I don't want to make a bad toast. I don't want to say something bad, but if you watch people that have capital, let's call them wealthy. Okay. Let's call them, they have the stuff. Mm-hmm. If you notice, they tend to miss the people. They'll see 5 guys, but they're listening for the idea because they have the capital to make that idea theirs. Does this make any sense?
Yeah.
And it's the natural, when you have stuff and you can wield stuff, you start to forget people's humanity in favor of what they can do and what you can do with your stuff for them. The problem is most people don't actually do it for other people entirely. They do it for themselves and use the people. Does this make sense? This is capitalism.
I mean, it's the pyramid that we were talking about.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So our guys are poor. And so they don't have the capital to wield.
Sure.
You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Our guys are like 25-year-olds looking for, make sense of their life.
Yeah.
And what happens is our guy, they go, oh, okay, give me the money because they're foreigners. Mm-hmm. And they're like, oh, that guy's got money. They're like, we got to do this together. And it freaks them out. They're like, well, so you don't have any money? They go, no, but I got all this time and all these ideas. What do you want to do together? It changes the relationship. So we go find the people with capital and they give quietly. You see what I'm saying?
Oh.
And so, but it's not their idea.
Yeah.
You get my point?
Uh-huh.
So without talking too much, can I give you one quick example?
Yeah.
I sat with a lady, wonderful lady. She was friends with an important person in our world, our board members. Mm-hmm. She sat there with me at dinner and heard all this, like I'm telling you, right? Because I'm always trying to raise money. It's an awful job, but it's a good job. It's Father, she's listening. And I explain all this. And I've gotten good at it. It's not like she's confused. And she goes, oh, this is so interesting. So in West Africa, do you build schools? And I said, well, if we find a local person, and they could even be a local, middle income person, they're local and they don't want to leave. If we find that person, we call them impresario. Yeah, we'll build a school. She goes, so you do it? You do build schools? I said, well, we had a school project in Guatemala, but if we find the people, so far we have a textile project. It depends on the people. But yeah, we definitely build schools. She goes, if I gave you a donation, would you build schools in West Africa? I was like, and she's not going to give like $100. And I'm sitting with her. And I'm thinking, I'm going to tell her we'll build schools. You see this? It was like the devil walked in. Not because she's bad. But what a temptation. I'm not talking about $100. I'm not talking about $100,000. I'm talking about a lot of bucks.
Sure.
And I said, well, and I got frustrated.
With yourself or with her?
No, with her.
Okay.
And I said, well, let me try and explain. If the people in the communities where we work want a school, we'll build one. She said, okay, good. Do they want a school? So here's the thing. If you go right now and sit in our community and say, do you want a school? They're all going to go, yeah, I want a school. Why? Because they're trying to respond to get you to invest. They don't really, the question is, are you there long enough to understand if they want a school?
Even if they need a school?
Right, even if they need a school. And so what happens is she was a sweet woman, but she wanted to create her vision for a better life in their world. In other words, she didn't want to give them what they need. She wanted to give them what she wants them to have. That's not the same thing. And we do that everywhere because we want to make them in our image. So the reason I brought that up is because it's a really tricky thing, because true giving is brutally hard to do. It's like, I'm not saying we're doing it either, but true giving is like deep, intense listening. And it's weird, man. But when you listen, it's like a flower, like stuff blooms. So
most people don't listen.
No, I know. And I'm an offender too.
There's a great book titled The Lost Art of Listening. And it details how bad people are actually at listening. And for anyone, like, they should just go have a conversation with somebody and try to and then count how long it takes for the person that you're talking to respond with what they have going on.
Oh gosh,
You
man,
know?
I'm an offender.
I mean, me too. Yeah, absolutely. But I feel like I've gotten a little bit better at it, throughout the
But
years.
when you see someone who's beautiful, I sat with a woman last night who's a donor. She was just listening.
The donor was listening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you know what? It was nice.
Mhm.
Like, it was a two-way street, but I tried. But they seem to value you when they listen. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It feels like you're valued.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what we're trying to do. But anyway, in Colombia, we went because we were invited by the haves, but they do beautiful work there.
Mm-hmm.
This Donis Misericordia, it's a really beautiful organization on this island. And so I think we're going to send 2 guys there.
Oh, nice.
Because we're being invited. So
yeah.
That came up for reasons I can't even remember.
Amazing. And we were connecting this all the way back to what we were talking about, women and men and that
That's
power
right.
struggle.
That's right.
I wanted to say actually there's a so I was having a conversation with Mike the other day, and he said something that, okay, so we have the fall, right? The woman gives the fruit to man. Man partakes, they both fall. They're kicked out of the garden. And he was talking about how every time he goes to an ordination and he captures a photo of when the priest gives the communion to his wife. And for whatever reason, he says that always moves me. And he was talking to a friend about that. And the friend says, well, that makes a lot of sense because it's just the reversal of the fall. And so I thought that to be very beautiful because it's not the woman now giving the fruit to the man, but the man giving the fruit to the woman. And I see that as an example of like proper hierarchy where the tamara there's not a person at the table that then takes the toast for themselves and then tries to offer it back up because now it's spoiled.
True.
Right?
That's true.
And so now here, the proper hierarchy is a flowing down through service.
That's right.
And I think this is something that's missing. It's maybe what you said earlier, where it's like people have a hard time grappling with hierarchy and equality.
Yeah, I do think that's true. But I don't think we have a choice anymore. I don't think the round table can hold. Equality isn't a coherent in and of itself. Equality cannot cohere a society. Like, it's not a reason to be together. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's too pedestrian. It's too close to the ground. We need something higher. We need something above us. And equality, it can't be the cultural coherence. And obviously, because don't you feel it? I feel it.
Yeah, I would agree with you. So if I wanted to offer a toast, what would I do?
Oh, awesome. So you would say, Tamada, please. Sagrazello.
And then what's the theme? I would have to stick with the courage.
So yeah.
Or how would I offer?
So let's say it's courage.
Okay.
Which we did.
Is what you started with?
You would just say Sagrazello. And then I would clink my glass. And because again, this is a lot of people at the table.
Sure.
For me and you, it's.
Yeah.
And I would say, hold on, we have a toast. And then I would say, Father, please, Sagrazello, which means
pass it on.
Yeah.
Okay.
Tamara,
so Sagrazello. All right. You toasted to courage. I'll toast to courage as well, which is the courage that we see in the disciples and the Myrbrain women. Notice the difference in equality and the same inequality there. The Myrbrain women were the first to go to the tomb and stuck with Christ through everything. The men were the one that ran away. And after Pentecost, there is an undeniable courage, both men and women, that I think Christ gives us by virtue of the fact of through his crucifixion. So that courage is like, it's so necessary as a Christian.
Gagimarjos. And I'll pour again. Now we're doing it old school. You can see if this goes on. I sat at one in Georgia in May.
Yeah.
that started at 7:30 p.m. and went till 4:30 a.m. Yeah, it's crazy.
That's nuts.
It's crazy.
Okay, so I wanted to touch a little bit on the liturgy now, because I think this is like a natural flow to kind of what we've spoken about. You even mentioned that the priest is the tamara.
Yeah.
Tell me how you see that a little bit. I'm curious.
Yeah, traditionally, often the tamada will seat the oldest male at the table at the far other end of the straight table.
Okay.
So if this was our table and you were the oldest male, you would sit at the end. It's because when the tamada stands up to toast, their eyes go right to the end, to the old man.
Oh.
So he serves as a reminder of the father to the son, or as the bishop to the priest, really is. Because the dinner comes out of the agape feast. Now, I'm not a scholar of the agape feast, but I've read about it. I've done due diligence. And the agape feast was something that you probably know this, so forgive me.
I mean, we'll see. I don't know.
It was associated with the Eucharist. And so, in fact, I think in the East and in Georgia, they were connected. So we know trapeza. I don't know what do you Greeks call it? Trapeza?
Trapeza?
Trapeza.
Yeah. Like the food.
That's Greek, right?
Like yeah.
So I go to the Russian tradition. So
okay.
Trapeza.
Uh-huh.
So trapeza. That's true. I'm the one who doesn't know how to say it. But anyway, that is sort of the remnant of the agape feast.
Okay.
Which is, the agape feast, though, would be like 6 or 7 hours, and it would go on all Sunday. Well, all the day of the liturgy, it would just go on and on, whatever day you're celebrating. But it turned into a bacchanalia in the East. It became wild. It became that Greek thing. It became disassociated spiritually with the liturgy. So the Georgians and many of the other Eastern Europeans, the Orthodox, separated that meal from the Eucharist. The bishops were like, knock that off. And when they did that, it went on its own and it became paganized. But in Georgia, it got like reconstituted as the Supra. And so it was intentional in a lot of ways in the Caucasus to connect it back to liturgy with the imagery. So that's why you can only drink wine at a Supra.
Oh, okay.
Right. And that's why you drank from
that makes sense, yeah.
You drank from these horns, right? Sort of the horn of life. And the horns became known as a drink of honor, and it was associated with the saints, and in particular, Saint Vakhtang, who was he was the king that united Georgia against the Persians in the 500s. And so when you drink from the horns, you're doing a type of honoring of the saints, but also you're doing an act of honor. And so we would hook arms on this, and you would.
You got some left over.
Oh, I washed it. That's what happened.
Does this happen?
I washed it. Yeah, I poured water in it. So that's funny. Are we cutting that? I'm kidding. That was funny. So basically, there's other images at the table. So the table itself is an altar. And so when people gather, they usually, not always, but they'll leave a little space in case a stranger comes. The stranger is really important in Georgia. Stumra. And the whole goal, at least, now I got trained in Georgia by a particular tradition and by a particular family.
Sure.
It shifts around. So if my Georgian friends are listening, what happens is it changes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't always change. There are certain things that never change at the Supra. For instance, the first toast to God, the fifth toast is to the dead, or the better way to say it is to your ancestors, to those who've gone before. And that toast is specifically got the language of resurrection and remembrance, like the Greek idea of being remembered again.
Yeah. Like commemorating her.
That's right. That's right. And then the next toast after the dead is to the youth, or to the spring, to the things that are coming up out of the ground.
To life.
Things going in the ground, things coming. And all of this is liturgical when you think about it, right?
Yeah.
It's all leading up to the Eucharist. And so it's a purposeful, but it's almost like weaned out of time, the mists of time. This thing has been weaned, and it maintains its liturgical significance. And the last thing I'd say, this is the thing I really want people to know. is there's something called shvidoba in the Georgian tradition. And shvidoba is peace, but it's not peace between nations. It is. It can be. Often it's toasted peace between nations. But it's also like the peace that you acquire from being with brothers and sisters. And so this is a real thing. It's the same peace. You ever left? I know you have, Father. You leave, Michael, must have happened to you too. You leave liturgy and something, it's like glowing. Something's glowing. I don't even know. It's just a proper glowing.
Yeah.
Either you're glowing or the people around you are glowing.
Sure.
And like you're going to eat now. Maybe it's the liturgy that breaks the fast.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, this is happening.
I mean, it's like Pascha. Pascha is probably every single time.
And you just can't, something happens.
Yeah.
And so at the table, that happens. It's called shvidoba. And my favorite tamada, there's a video, you can catch this guy. It's an oral tradition in Georgia. So people kind of know who the tamadas are, but also you don't really know. Nobody took a test or anything.
Sure.
But this guy says at the end, he usually does this shvidoba at the end, and he says, because a lot of times you don't want to leave the table. You did the table. You remember there's like, oh, what are we going to talk about next? Like, it's like if you smoke a cigarette, it's that moment where you're like, I just want to sit here for a while. Like I smoke cigars. So you're like, I just want to sit here for a while. That feeling is shvidoba, which is the same glowing. And when that happens at the table, this tamada says, I get emotional. I don't know. I cry easy, Father. Don't yell at me. If you have shvidoba tonight at this table and you don't want to leave, take it home. And when you wake in the morning, share it with someone and sit at a table with them and remember this toast. See, I get emotional because it's like a proper sense of the Great Commission, which is to share, but not share because you don't know. You don't share like that. I don't like that missionary tradition. Like, low people, high people have arrived to teach you what you ignorant people don't know. And I know that I'm super generalizing and missionaries generally don't do that. Unfortunately, states do that and use missionaries to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like this at all because a true missionary is not, it's like someone who wants to share their favorite movie with you.
Yeah.
Like, you got to see this movie.
Yeah.
They're not being a jerk. They want to share something that was awesome.
Yeah.
It was such a good movie, Father. You got to see it. You wouldn't go like, what are you trying to missionize me? Like, what? Calm down, bro. Like, it's really beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
Shvidova is this thing where you, and by the way, I think it's the number one reason our restaurant is doing well. Is because people go home and go, I can't explain it what happened. It was really cool there.
I mean, I had the same experience.
Cool.
I'm not even kidding. I went to the table. I think we started at what time? It was like 6 and we finished at like,
it was like 10:30. Oh, no, we were here late
yeah, we were here
night.
late.
We were like 1
yeah.
o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, I got home at like 2 or 3. I can't remember. But
I remember that. That's exactly right.
But I remember the next day, my wife was already asleep. The next day I told her, yeah, we had this experience. You got to try it. Just like,
and you can't really like,
yeah, you can't really.
This toasting and then all of a sudden all the wind's out of it. You're like, this guy's talking. I know.
Yeah.
For me,
so I know what you mean.
It's the ultimate Christian moment is when someone, you don't even have to love them in the colloquial, in the intimate, like you haven't met them, but you're sharing something that is just joyful.
You know what's funny? It's in my, a lot of my, not a lot, but in a few of my sermons, I always, a few of them, I tend to always reach this point where all I say to the people that I'm preaching to, whatever church I'm at, is like, I say, I wish I could just give you my experience.
Yeah, that's it.
And I don't know how else to say it because it's not like, I don't want to keep it for myself, but I wish I could just give it to you. I wish I could give it to you for you to understand. Not to like, so I feel like if a person could just understand, it's like saying, just come and see. It's almost like saying that.
That's why, exactly.
Yeah. If you could just if you could just taste it, maybe you might be able to understand. It's like trying to describe honey to somebody who has never tasted
That's
honey.
right. That's right.
Or describe the sun to somebody who's blind. I mean, it's just, it's like, you have to, if you could just see it, if you could just taste it, if you could just.
So what should we do in that? I sometimes default, and I'll say a lot of my friends online, we default to the linear argument / explanation that captures the intellect in order to convince them of the thing. In other words, I'll give you an example of Keipi, of this restaurant. Or
Sure.
This has happened to me. So, right, we had that moment. You just described it. We had.
Uh-huh.
And the next day, I'm at a grocery store and say, "Oh, what do you do?" "Well, we do this first things, and we have this restaurant." And they're, "Oh, tell me about the restaurant." And I'll try to just like get it just right. You get what I'm saying? I'm a missionary of words.
Okay.
I think a guy's online. I interviewed Jay Dyer recently. He's really good at words online.
Mm-hmm.
He can do it. Like A plus B plus C plus D times 2, 5, and then the words all add up. But just still sometimes maybe not the thing. You know what I mean? And I catch myself convincing them and then falling into like the mission statement and like the Tomados run. And then I watch and they're just glazed, bro.
Yeah.
They're like, yeah, that sounds great. And I realized I like jumped the shark. I went too far. Like I did words instead of, you know what? I'll see you there. Maybe I'll get you a drink. Like maybe that's just it. And maybe that's how Christ is too.
Can I tell you my thoughts?
Yeah, please.
What separates us from the saints is exactly what we're talking about, in my opinion.
Yes.
You read the life of a saint, you read their sayings, their experience is transmitted by what you're reading on the page. Okay, they have such a sensitivity in the manner of the way that they speak. They're able to transmit their experience with their words or even by their look or even by their movements, the way they walk, the way they talk. And that's why I'm saying there's a lot of things like that are written, that are not written in the scriptures that just can't be translated. The way Jesus Christ sat. Did he sit like this?
Right.
Or did he sit like this? Or was he relaxed? Like, how, in the manner in which he laughed or he spoke, or his tone, his demeanor, the way he put his arm around somebody. Was it on the shoulder? Was it like this? These things you can't translate that experience. That's only something that you gain. And then that then is then translated to somebody you share that with, or the manner, maybe you take that into your own life. And then you become like St. Paul, it's no longer I who live, but Christ who lives in me. Right? So then you come to act like that. Okay. Now the saints are, in my opinion, the people who have learned how to transmit, maybe even unbeknownst to them, the life of Christ to another person. And I think we get so stuck in our heads because we think it's a matter of getting the right algorithm or the right equation for you to understand and see. Once you unlock this, you'll be able to see. But it's a matter of the heart, not the mind.
That's right.
Okay, which means that my words could be not that intellectual. There's some saints that are just not educated people. And yet they can still transmit the experience because the experience is a matter of the heart, not the mind. Okay. And I think that's part of what we're missing. We're like missing the heart to try to get the mind, but the mind is like, it thinks about so many different things. It's fickle.
You're making me think this. It might be that the internet itself, let's just call it an entity.
Okay.
Is a big giant brain only. And that's fine. But we aren't big giant brains. The problem is we mistake it for that. And if at that point, I think about this all the time. At that point, should you participate in the big giant brain? Or how about this, Father? You answer this. Can you participate in the big giant brain by being a heart? Or is it just not meant for that? Is it just impossible for the heart, let's call it the nous, to enter the big giant brain in a way that's of use? Or must the big giant brain go down into the heart? And if it has to go down in the heart, the internet is not doing that. The people who find their life on the internet will never be able to go into their heart. It doesn't exist. It's an alien without a heart.
Yeah. Have you tried ChatGPT?
So I have, but I'll admit it. I'm that old guy who's like nervous about it or something. I don't really like to, but I have a feeling it would help me.
Yeah.
Ish.
Yeah.
What do you think?
I don't know. I've tried it. I'll use Grok a lot more, which is just another like AI model or something. I think I don't know what the right terminology is.
Right,
LLM or whatever, or LMN. I don't know, whatever. So I'll just the other day I was asking it to create a story, and it'll create the story. It sounds great. It's poetic. You can even have it, make sure it rhymes. It's poetry, whatever. It sounds
You
great.
can make it rhyme
Yeah,
too.
you can make it rhyme. We can make one for you, and it's like you look at it and you're like dazzled. You're like, oh, this is really cool. But then one thing I notice is that it's got no heart.
You can see it, like you can feel it. Because I
can
really
feel
haven't
it.
used it.
I can feel it. I mean, I don't know if it's the same for other people, but it's like you read the story, and I don't think anybody's going to read a book generated by AI because primarily because it doesn't have the experience, which I think is the same thing as the heart.
So let's say somebody did, only read those stories that you generated.
Yeah.
Would you be nervous about that?
If they only read that?
Yeah. That's like how they got their stories. Like, watch this, like ChatGPT or whatever it's called, because I don't really use it that much.
Sure.
Tell me, write a story that's the same as Macbeth, but shorter, like 500 pages shorter or whatever. And then they do it. And that's all that a kid ever read. Is that bad?
I think so.
I think so too.
I think because, again, like I was saying earlier with the Lives of the Saints, there's something similar is happening with anybody who writes. Something is transmitted by the nuance of word choice, the nuance of the sentence structure, the paragraph, the thought process.
Right.
What you're like, I think words themselves are a transmission, translate ideas through time, and so you can't do the same with a mind, with an AI that is just, it's an amalgamation. Is that what it's called? Like
an amalgamation
of all these different ideas and thoughts.
Okay, now as a priest though, this is a practical question.
Okay.
Like, someone's going to come to you and say, should I use ChatGPT? And I don't like to make it a black and white because everything is possible depending on the spiritual state of the person asking the question.
Sure,
I get that. But in general, I guess it's something like, be careful.
I mean, I've had a lot of people come to me recently, like I would say 2 or 3, not a lot, 2 or 3, that are coming to me recently. They're using ChatGPT to self-diagnose. I say, very bad. Do not do that.
They do?
Yeah. I would say go to a priest, go to a spiritual father, go to a therapist if that's what needs to happen or whatever. Before
right,
you go
some
to a priest.
variation.
Yeah,
even
something
if it's
where
not
you're
good.
having a human connection, a point of contact.
Yeah, like how about go to your father or somebody? Yeah, I get it.
Your spouse, your father, your parent, whatever it is.
Lord have mercy. So,
but they don't see. The thing is, the trick is like it's not seen as something bad because I'm engaging with something and it's providing information with me. And the thing is, like I'll use these AI things to help me understand better business perspectives or like books that I'm reading or things like that, or ask it questions. But everything has to be filtered. If I just accept everything that's given to me, that's very problematic because you're receiving the fullness of the world. Yes,
but that's a good point. So that it goes for the same as if, okay, so would you say, how about this? Do you, I just find this interesting. I don't want to put you in a bind, please. But so let's go with hagiography.
Okay.
I could do something really cool, like I teach in Sunday school. This is probably already happening right now. Oh, I got Sunday school tomorrow, and I'm volunteering.
Yeah.
And there's 5 people I want to teach about. Take these 5 stories and you tell me of the most important parts of each person. Bam, done. And I hand that out in Sunday school. Could that literally destroy the tradition?
I don't think so. Not in that example. So long as you're versed in the stories as well, because even if I present you with facts, you still have to, the facts are like they're almost like the non-essentials.
I know what you mean.
Yeah.
100%.
Okay.
Yeah.
But
100%.
they have to be clothed in the way you presented the story, your own personal experience of who the saint is or whatever it is. So if you have not done the research and you just present the facts, then you will destroy the tradition. But if you have a relationship or a communion with the saints or with Christ and you present the facts, now you can clothe the facts in, I don't know if that's the right word, but you can clothe the facts in your own personal experience.
Yeah, no, I get it.
So that now what this computer, this thing serves your ability to better communicate this person's reality.
Man, but you already know this. It's way beyond what we're describing. Right now, AI is like pulling triggers on all kinds of like fuel systems and all kinds. It's like it's running whole cities. Like that's how it's going to work. And I don't even know what that means. I'm not an expert. It's not my thing, but
there's a I can't remember the name of the book. It's like What Technology Wants, I think is the name of the book. But this guy who worked with tech all his life describes how technology wants to be embodied. And so I believe, this is my own personal thoughts, AI will eventually want to desire a body.
this makes sense to me.
Yeah, which is like the Terminator, like all these other movies that we've seen, right? It could just be an entity, but it makes an image of itself in a tangible format.
And because it's mimicking us, but who, by the way, the natural pattern for human beings is to unite and make an image of ourselves.
Do you know what I think it is? If I could take it a step further, I actually think it's a mimicking of the incarnation.
Right.
And so it's Christ became incarnate from a human being and became a real human being. And he's the fullness of wisdom. He's the fullness of everything, of divinity and humanity. And here comes this technology. And I don't know if it's, I don't know if it's like an incarnation of the devil or whatever, but for whatever reason, this type of knowledge may lead to something like this, where
yes,
it desires to be embodied, it will be embodied, and then it will.
That's right.
It may wreak havoc and chaos and all these things.
Well, the bishop, one of my favorite moments, I was speaking out in Montana, and one of my favorite.
Where in Montana?
In Montana, near Butte.
Oh, okay. I lived in Montana for a while.
Did you?
Yeah, Missoula.
Yeah.
But anyway, so you were speaking there,
and I gave a talk. Everyone should look it up. It was great. Maybe it was bad, but the bishop, a Serbian bishop, came. This wasn't this year. It was a couple of years ago. He said the best thing for me. I forget his name. He's a great bishop. Well, let's put it this way. He was great there. I don't know enough about what he's teaching, but I know that he was wonderful there. And he said, because they were asking him tons of questions about technology.
Mm-hmm.
And he has a background. He knew. But he said, I'll just say it like this. There's only one thing I really know, really, really know about the church and technology. We should not be televising, technologizing our liturgy in any way. There should be no televisions in there. Nobody broadcasting anything out of that space. I'll be honest, I know it's controversial. It's the best thing I ever heard. It doesn't matter. I know you're at home and you're infirmed and you can't go, and I get it, but you don't get to go. Doesn't mean you're dead. Doesn't mean you don't have salvation. Just you don't get to go.
I agree with you. I actually visited a church recently, and I was filling in for somebody, and I go to the church. I go into the altar. I start prepping up, and I finally get to the altar as I'm getting my lay of the land. And on top of the tabernacle, which is where we keep the reserved body and blood of Christ, on top of the tabernacle is a GoPro camera staring directly at me.
No.
And I look at it and I'm like, I'm baffled. I've personally have never seen that in any church. And so I turned to the gentleman that was right there, right next to me. And I said, why is that there? And he says, well, it's so that we can live stream to the people that are at home. And I said, okay, I'm going to remove it. I ended up placing it right next to it on the altar, but at least it wasn't on the tabernacle.
That's right.
Whatever. So I placed it on the altar and he's like, Father, what are you doing? It's like, he says, you have to think about the people that are at home. And I said to him, no one at home will ever have this view.
Ever.
Nobody should have this view.
Crazy.
They're back there. And I'm not special.
No one should have that view.
I'm just I'm of all the sinful people that are here, I'm just the one that stands as the representative.
Man, you are not kidding. I think it's really important.
I was baffled. I couldn't believe it. And I'm sure other people are going to have different opinions on these things, but I don't think we should have anything in there. It's the space is too sacred in that respect.
Nothing.
Yeah.
And because this is the way I was taught by my spiritual father. You shouldn't even really read the prayers when let's say you have to read prayers at home.
Sure.
Because you're on the road. I'm on the road a lot. There's no Orthodox church anywhere in West Africa.
Mm-hmm.
You shouldn't even read the prayers into the anaphora because that's not for you. That's for people who are going to preparing to take communion.
Wait, which prayers? What are
the prayers after uh, oh, hold
Like
on.
the preparation prayers for
You shouldn't read prayers past.
Who's you? Me as the priest, or
No, me at home doing the reader service. For the
yeah,
liturgy.
yeah.
I should not go into the anaphora with any of those prayers. I'm not preparing for communion.
Yeah.
And so none of those prayers are necessary for someone who's just trying to participate on Sunday without actually being at liturgy.
Sure,
you get what I'm saying?
Sure.
So why would we not even have people read that? Why would we broadcast the liturgy to someone who can't participate in it?
Because this is where technology erases or erodes the sense of tradition, in my opinion. Because when somebody's not able to make it to the church, they would have the Typica. So
Right.
it's a service, a reader service on a
That's
Sunday.
what I'm getting at.
Yeah.
But that service doesn't even say, we don't even read all those prayers.
I agree.
Yeah.
It's only the portions that are most, that don't pertain to the partaking of the Eucharist.
As my spiritual father would say, you just don't get that. You don't get everything. So what?
Yeah.
Like, you don't get access to everything.
Yeah.
What's that got to do with me?
Mm-hmm.
He was funny because he'd be like, what's that got to do with me? I don't have to give that to you.
Yeah.
Why you feel, well, I just thought I could participate. He goes, knock it off. Then go to the church. I can't, I'm sick. Well, then you don't get to participate. You don't get both.
Yeah.
There's something very obvious about that.
I think that's where the priesthood is going to be even more tricky as we get more technological advancements. Like COVID really did a number for us, especially with the integration of all these new technologies inside the church, like the live streaming, the use of different things inside of the church is as
by the way, you got to watch out, right?
Yeah, is as like, but it those challenges also offer up opportunities.
Yeah.
For our deeper understanding of our tradition, of our theology, of our life as Orthodox Christians, and all these things. You know, why is having a camera on top of the tabernacle? Why is that bad? Maybe I'm just the only one that thinks that.
Well,
maybe
we get to talk about it now. We should use the internet for that. Yeah, for sure. 100%.
To have conversations like that, but also to understand, like, maybe that's not the proper use of technology. And technology, it was an abbess from the monastery out west. Somebody was asking her, like, how should we use technology? And she said, you should only use technology with purpose.
Yes.
Meaning, if I take out my phone, I'm sitting on the toilet and I just start looking at my phone, that's not using it with purpose. You know, and that's why we get so distracted with our cell phones. It's like everything
that's just distraction.
It's a rabbit hole. It just goes through many different things. Use it with purpose. And so if we think we have a camera now and we should just place cameras everywhere because that's what we want to outdo the other church, that's not using it with purpose.
That is something the demons want. There's just no doubt about it. Whatever a demonic spirit is, it wants to be in control because it's the nature of rebellion, right?
Yeah.
You can't have something God says, and I say, I'll have what I want. I want to be in control of myself. To me, it's kind of obvious that the more cameras, the more demonic. It's not going to get better because there's more cameras. It's crazy, man. And just to give you guys, story from the edge, this is the same in West Africa. I mean, you're talking about in societies where there's still thatch roofs, like our guys living with these beautiful people. They got phones, man. Everybody's got phones. Everybody's got phones. And even when the village doesn't have electricity, they do solar panels and they got phones.
Wow.
Everybody. And so if you have a phone, that means you have everything. But here's the thing. When you wake up in the morning and your phone's not on yet, you don't have everything. It's in this faraway place. It's very bad. It creates tons of envy and angst. There's a lot of envy and angst.
Yeah. I mean, we have an addiction to our phones.
Yeah.
Yeah, we really do.
But at least you and I can walk out and go to we actually see the things that you could potentially buy. You see what I'm saying?
Oh, yeah.
These cats are seeing everything they could potentially buy, except for they're not even in an 8-hour drive of any of this stuff, or even a 20-hour. It's not part of their world, except it's part of their world every day.
That's what bothers me about news. I do want to touch a little bit about the priesthood, and then we can finish up with the current news. But something that bothers me about news is everything that's bad that's around the world is at your fingertips. And I remember, so I have this like Instagram account, and I'll post something and I often get all these like messages. Why aren't you talking about Palestine? Why aren't you talking about Israel? Why aren't you talking about Ukraine and Russia and all these other? And I just said, I don't know. Like
Right.
how can I offer thoughts on something that
Right.
it's not my experience.
Right.
Right. And so we think just because we have access, this is my personal opinion. I mean, you might disagree, but just because we have personal access to everything that's happening around the world doesn't mean that we need to be speaking about those things consecutively.
That's right.
Who are we to speak about it
No.
in the first place? Right. Second of all, I'm so removed.
That's right.
And like 100 years ago, I would have never known that Ukraine and Russia, maybe, were in a war. I mean, unless something drastic was happening.
But barely. Yeah, you would have
it's like it
barely
would be
known.
distant. And so I think sometimes we put so much pressure on like, we need to say something. Hold on. Why don't you just pray first?
Okay, this is it. This is the whole story for me. Can I throw something back at you?
Yeah, I want to hear.
So let's say that there is something like an event happening in the world that in some way you're tied to. For example, I think you could argue that in Israel with Palestine, in some way, your last hour at work, 2 pennies went to that war on some level. In other words, something about your day was connected monetarily to something about that, right?
Okay.
I don't know that that's true for, say, Mozambique, where we work, but we know there's money is going out there.
Sure.
And it's going out in a certain kind of capacity, like as a weapon or as a, I don't know, political favor, whatever. And then you become aware of it. So I'm torn, right? Because then at that point, I'm aware of it. I really still can't do much. Tax policy is not changing because I got aware of it. It does change my ability to ignore it, though. I will say that on some level. I feel somewhat connected to certain things that my country, where I live, does. But then the next question is, what should I do about it? I still choose to not do much. My podcast, I don't riff about that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Every now and then I do because it wells up. So that's my question for you is, when do we... I'm not a Democrat at heart. By that, what I mean is a believer in democracy. I don't mean the party. I don't believe because I live in a democratic society that I have to be active politically, but that's what we're taught. You see what I'm saying? So it's like a tricky thing. We're taught, and my kids are taught to be very participative because that's how democracy gets better. And here my government is doing this, and I'm going to get involved in it. I rather would stay out of all of that, but I do understand why people participate and actually get involved and actually do pay attention, because on some level they've been taught to believe that matters as an American who believes in democracy.
Mm-hmm.
So this is what I'm saying to you. Maybe we should stop believing in democracy. What do you think about that?
Ooh, that's a good question. I was reading a book recently that written by, I can't remember which saint, but it was talking about the French Revolution. Was that 1800s or 1700s?
1790s.
Yeah. Okay. And he was talking about the French Revolution and their desire for freedom and like all these things. And anyway, he says in that structure, in that treatise that he was writing about, how freedom, we're never really free. This idea of freedom is like the stupidest idea of freedom, is from his perspective, an Orthodox Christian. He was saying the only freedom that we have is the freedom to choose virtue. And anything else above beyond that is slavery to the passions. But then he says it's only like 2 lines or 3 lines, and he says, above all, we know that the true proper form of government is one that is monarchy, a single ruler.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So in terms of democracy, I don't know, but in terms of monarchy, I think I can get behind that.
It feels more in alignment with the design of creation.
Yes.
However, it's got its own problems, right?
Yeah. Well, yes, because if it's expressed as tyranny,
that's right.
Going back to that as well.
We talked about.
Yeah. And the other thing I would say to all of this, because I'm glad you mentioned this. One of the lines that I wrote out recently that I was thinking about is like, prayer is the only tool that we have to influence those things that we have no influence over. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Which I believe that to be true.
Yeah.
Okay. which means that sometimes we get all up in arms and something happens, some injustice around the world or at home or whatever, and immediately we want to like make it known to others. We want to protest. We want to do all these things. And I don't know if that's the right way. I think maybe voicing it to like some local people, like in your immediate group, family, friends, whatever, colleagues. But you don't have to start making up all these, like, what are all these like signs and protests do? I don't know. As Orthodox Christians, I don't know if I believe in a protest personally. And I could be wrong. I could be wrong because I know we have like the March for Life
I'm
and
with
a lot of Orthodox Christians go there and whatnot. But I don't know. And I really believe prayer has much more effect than raising up a sign and telling you, somebody who's like driving on the road, trying to get to work, being stopped by some random guy saying, here, you got to believe this. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not sure. So, yeah.
I think that's a proper disposition, especially for a priest. I mean, show me a march for gratitude, I'll join. They don't really march for gratitude. Let's all get together and march and say, thank you guys. The Christmas tree companies were so good this year. They all brought the trees and we all bought them and let's march. I'll go. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's like a billion things you could march for. I don't know. But I get caught up. Like, I think what's happening is for me, I have had enough, and this is little current event or little controversy maybe, but who cares what I say? But I've really had enough with the concept that America is a Christian country. I don't believe it. I think there are a lot of Christians in America for the last 300 years, 250 years. I don't think by any means it's designed as a Christian country. It's designed as a secular place, and Christians lived in it. So that might have purified the secularism in some way and allowed it Christianity to be expressed within, let's call it a secular house. There's Christians walking around. But I think over the last, 100 years, there's fewer and fewer of those people. And the house represents less and less of what a Christian may be. And now, if you're going to be an Orthodox Christian, you could argue there were very few Christians, or let's put it this way, there were lots of Christians with some suspect teachings living within the house called America. I think you could argue that.
Yeah.
And so this is my point I want to make. What I really think has happened is the America that is premised on justice, because we know Christian justice, and you can tell me if I'm wrong, Father, but Christian justice is not found in the world in the way that we talk about it as Americans. It's just, that's not a thing. That's not, you tell me if I'm, Christ was the ultimate just, pure, and beautiful, and he got really bad justice, like what didn't work.
Yeah.
Justice is found in a different way. It's found through humility. And we know, we don't have to go on and on. But we keep getting into, especially foreign policy, where we keep trying to demand fairness and justice for the Jews, fairness and justice for the Iranians. We keep getting involved in outside things where they're playing that old game, the old game of you poked my eye, now I poke your eye. That is not Christian action. That's not what we should be involved in. And so if we're really going to be if we're really going to be in America that's Christian, we need to get out of that stuff. We need to there shouldn't be a single penny going to that stuff. Just stay out of it. And everyone's like, well, then you're going to be attacked by your enemies. Maybe not. Maybe actually what happens, we become respected by our enemies. You see what I'm saying? That's the Christian bet, right? Christians don't get just enough guns so that their neighbors don't come visit. That's not how it works. You get just enough pies so that your neighbors come and want to eat with you. And what if they rob you? Then they rob me. What am I going to do? What if they punch you? What if they kill your daughter? Then they kill my daughter. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah.
That's the way it looks. I never have understood this. That's the way Christianity looks in history. Can I tell you a quick story?
Sure, please.
Maybe this is a real story.
Yeah.
There's a family that I know. They're Georgian. In Georgia, the tradition of the Supra is, they say of this saying, and every Georgian who's listening to this will know I'm telling the truth. When your enemies come to kill you, or they come for you, then first we have a Supra. Okay. Then we fight, even to the death. This is what we do. So if that sounds cute, that sounds nice, that's cultural, that's sweet. Oh. But if you've lived in Georgia for an extended amount of time, you know that there's something really deeply true to that story. But I know a family, an actual family, a Georgian family. They were living in Abkhazia, which is Georgia. They were in the 1990s during the Civil War, and they lived in a village. They lived in not a teeny village, but a sizable town. But in Georgia, because there's so many mountains, you can see the roads, and they saw these 2 trucks coming, or I don't know how many trucks, and they were coming to clear out this village, either to kill people, rob people, or do a military maneuver.
Yeah.
They saw them coming. And you know what this family did? This is in the 90s. This isn't like in, 1200s, some mystical event.
Mm-hmm.
I know this family. I know this family. So what happened is those people came to their family with guns. And they said, before we fight, we have a Supra. They did it. And the people, because you have to understand how this works in Georgia, your enemy would go, in the Caucasus, they know about this stuff. And they went, okay, Bijo. They had Supra, and afterwards they took the husband out back and told him to surrender. And he said, I can't surrender and they killed him. That family fled and has come to the United States. So when we tell the story of Supra, they say, my husband, I'm going to cry. My husband did that. That's Christianity.
Wow.
That's Christianity. And guess what? He's honored. He's beloved. Like his children honor him. Like that's a good thing because he was going to die anyway last time I checked. And so this is how we do it. But that's not how they talk in the middle. That's not what's happening in these wars. These wars is you bomb me, I bomb you. You raped my kids, I rape your kids. This is a disaster. This is ugly. We should stay out of that. So that's my take. But as a priest, my guess is you don't.
Yeah.
But you probably have to answer these questions on some level though, because people are probably wondering. I don't know.
I mean, I'll get questions as it pertains to their own life and then justices that they find there, but not necessarily to the large scale events.
Yeah. Which is probably good.
Yeah. Yeah, I would say so. All right. So where can people find you? What do you have going on now for,
The thing I really want people to know about is this tradition. I'm an American, but I have a mentor in Georgia, and her name is Nino Gavashidze. She's wonderful. She's elderly, but she's a scholar of Georgia and also of this tradition. And she always tells me, "Don't do it, John. Go do it. It's yours." But we always try to honor Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
My life was changed there in many ways during the Civil War and doing relief work. But anyway, so this whole thing is a real thing. And the Georgians are a real people that generally try to attend to this and they care about it. Even the young people care about it.
Mm-hmm.
And so we try to handle it with care. And we always need the otamadas. We need people that do the dinner. Because we get more and more people asking. We have people all around the country who are asking me to go and other tamadas, but we can't keep up. So we have this training every year, 2 of them.
Are you the only one in America doing this?
No, Georgians do it, but we're the only people that have put it into a restaurant.
You're evangelizing it.
I really believe that.
Yeah. Okay.
It's funny because there's Georgian restaurants in New York where I'm from. My daughters live there.
Yeah.
And I go to them every time I'm in New York. And they know, I'm like, hey. And I tell them I do Supra and they go, well, we do Supra too, but only Georgians do it.
Okay.
So the Georgians in New York will all go and you can go into a Georgian restaurant. If you go into the back, you'll see them. They're doing it. Mm-hmm. I say, no, we do it with Americans. And they're like, tell me how you do it. What do they say? How does it work? I'm like, it's weird. Uh-huh. And so we do this out of love because I think what it is, it's healing. Hospitality is healing. And the Georgian, they have a real pure form of hospitality, like the story I was telling.
Yeah.
And so we handle this with care by trying to share it with people. But we also do it as a way to raise money for our work. So there's something called the Art of Tamada we do. And the Art of Tamada is a weekend together where we actually teach this. And we have speakers. So in October, we're doing it here at the restaurant at this complex.
Nice.
Nathan Jacobs is going to come. He's a philosopher and a theologian of sorts. He teaches at Vanderbilt. He's amazing. Okay. You can find his podcast too. And Why am I forgetting? Frederica Matthews Green is coming.
Oh, nice.
She's an author, and they're gonna be our speakers here for the weekend.
Okay.
And so you can buy different types of tickets. You can buy a ticket just for the dinner. There's a concert with Dirt Poor Robins. Neil and Kate the Great are amazing, and they're coming. My daughter is a jazz singer. She graduated Juilliard. She was just in that show.
Awesome.
Yeah, she was in that show with George Clooney. She was
cool.
Ella Fitzgerald in that show.
That's amazing.
She's coming with a really nice guitarist, and they're going to sing jazz. We got a local sort of a bluegrass band.
Cool.
So the whole weekend, we got a DJ coming. We got DJ Melky Melchizedek. He's a Orthodox dude who's amazing. And so all these cats are coming, and we're going to teach this tradition. We're going to have concert, and we're going to have a cooking class. And so if you're really interested, I want all of you to come on October 24th and 25th. The tables will start on Friday afternoon, and they go all weekend. Nice. And so we're going to sell all these tickets, and the tables will be going on simultaneously. And then the people who sign up to be trained for it, will have them be tamadas in the moment. It's really nerve-wracking, but it's fun.
Yeah.
And so that event is October 24th, 25th. And November 6, 7, 8, 9, leaving on the 10th, we're doing it in Florida for just 30 people. And it's expensive. But you get the whole weekend. We feed you. The price includes your lodging. It's on the beach in Islamorada in Florida.
Nice.
It's a real fun weekend, and it's intimate. Jonathan Pajot is going to speak there, and Andrew Gould. And they're going to give the sort of the symbolism of hospitality and how it works in the world. And we all hang out, 30 of us.
How many? Oh, it's 30 only?
30 only. And so that's a little pricier ticket, but it's fun.
Limited. Yeah, wow.
It's a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Because really what the day is about hanging out.
Yeah.
And then the night is about doing the supers together and then learning how they work. And so those two events have become seminal events for us. I want you guys all to come to those. And they're going to be out and published with ticket prices and everything in the next 2 weeks.
Okay.
But save the date and write me if you want to at John Heers at first-things.org. You can include it.
Yeah, I'll include that.
And if you want to, you can reserve a ticket now with me before they really start getting sold. But you got to write me with the details. So
sure.
Those are the two things I really want you to know about. We have some new field workers going in the field in Mozambique. And if people want to really be they want to be a beloved donor of us, just donate a little bit each month. $25, $50 a month. That's the best thing for us. It keeps cash flow, and our guys live poor. So because they live in mud huts, they don't have cars. They can live for very little money each month, but we still got to raise it. So those guys are doing beautiful work, and I hope we can keep talking about them because they make the whole thing work. Because they go for 2 years at a time, they give all of their time, and they meet beautiful people, and they do projects. We've done 30, 40, we're over 40 projects now around the world that really help people. And it's the extension of the Christian idea of mercy, but really of relationships. So that's what we're doing. I would love for everybody to get involved, and they can find us.
Beautiful.
Online.
I'll make sure to include everything wherever
Put
it is
our links.
that I posted.
Because I have a podcast, and we have a restaurant and all kinds of stuff.
Yeah.
So.
And if anybody lives in Greenville, they can come visit.
Yeah, you can come to dinner.
Keipi?
Yeah, Keipi. And by the way, we serve dinner, like just two people sit down and have dinner.
Yeah.
It's not every dinner is a Supra, but we have those too on Friday nights. So
okay, beautiful.
Yeah. Thank you, Father. I'll make a toast.
Yeah,
to
please
finish it up.
Yeah.
So this is the traditional toast. I'll give it to you just like they do. My friend Mamuka taught me this one, and so I try to. The Tamada's job is not to repeat. You know, there's like an Irish, like I went to the pub and I didn't, and there's sort of like a rehearsed. That's not the way they do it in Georgia.
Okay.
The theme, like my toasts change every time. The theme might stay the same, but the toast changes.
Okay.
But this is typically one that I was taught to do. It's the last toast of the night, always. And so we sit at this table, we see this table, we see you, me, and here, and we're able to drink this wine together. And if we had food, we're able to eat the food together. But someone made this table, and I don't know their name. And someone blew this bottle, and someone put the water and pumped it out of the spring, and someone had the grapes. I don't know their names. But today, and this is where you would bring out the chefs. And the chef would come out with the guys who work at our restaurant. Or you would bring out your grandma who did all the cooking. Or whoever was involved. And you say, today we do know their names. And so I want to make a toast to the people that made this table possible. So they're not here right now. But I would say then, to Ira, who gave us this excellent meal. So I'll say to all the people unseen here who gave us a chance to be together, Michael, who put the table together and put the lights together and the camera, and to all those people who made it possible to be able to sit together, including our own parents, to them we say, Gagi Marjos.
Gagi Marjos.
Gagi Marjos. Gagi Marjos.